join you. Please excuse me for that. We try to improve in the future.
Maharaj, it's my fault. Sincere apologies, Maharaj. I got stuck in something else. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So we are continuing today with the discussion of the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So we are entering the second section. The first section was the Duryodhana Gita, beginning, of course, with Dhritarashtra inquiring from Sanjaya about what his sons were doing on the battlefield. And then Sanjaya describes a dialogue between Duryodhana and Dronacharya, his teachers, in which he explains the strengths of the Pandavas and the Kauravas, both sides. And many great fighters are introduced. And after he has glorified Bhishmadev, Bhishmadev, he is blowing his conch shell. The conch shell is the symbol of Vishnu. So Bhishmadev is Krishna's devotee, and by doing that, he is expressing, I'm a Kshatriya, and I will do my duty as a Kshatriya and give my life for my duty. And success and failure is in the hands of the Lord. So that's the devotee. Whatever happens will be Krishna's mercy. Now we are entering the second part of the first chapter, which is mainly which clarifies the relationship between Arjuna and Krishna. So we have heard also Arjuna, when Bhishma was blowing his conch shell, that then all the Pandavas, they blew their conch shell, and the conches have been named by name, and it created fear in the hearts of the Kauravas. So now text 20. So Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Atya Vyavastitam Drisva Dahtarastram Kapitvacha Avitte Shastra Sampate Dano Utyama Pandava Rishikesham Tada Vakyam Idamaha Mahipate. At that time Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot, bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra, drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. So the battle was about to begin. It is understood from the above statement, Srila Prabhupada writes, that the sons of Dhritarashtra were more or less disheartened by the unexpected arrangement of military force by the Pandavas, who were guided by the direct instruction of Lord Krishna on the battlefield. The emblem of Hanuman on the flag of Arjuna is another sign of victory, because Hanuman cooperated with Lord Ram in the battle between Ram and Ravan, and Lord Ram emerged victorious. Now, Both Ram and Hanuman were present on the chariot of Arjuna to help him. Lord Krishna is Ram himself, and wherever Lord Ram is, is his eternal servitor Hanuman, and his eternal consort Sita, the goddess of fortune, are present. Therefore, Arjuna had no cause to fear any enemies whosoever, and above all, the Lord of the Senses, Lord Krishna, was personally present to give him direction. Thus all good counsel was available to Arjuna in the matter of executing the battle. In such auspicious conditions arranged by the Lord for his eternal devotee lay the signs of assured victory. So Arjuna is on the flag. Hanuman is on the flag of Arjuna's chariot. There is another pastime in the Mahabharata, and this is directly related to this. When Arjuna went to the heavens to help his father Indra, the Pandavas were roaming in the mountain regions near the Alakananda river. At that time, the river came in the river came floating a beautiful 1,000-petal lotus, which smelled very fragrant. Draupadi, seeing and smelling this beautiful lotus, she wanted more to offer to Yudhishthir. She said, "It would be nice if we had more of these. Bhima, can you get more of them? You go upstream the river to the mountain and find more of them. Please find them." But no mortals are allowed in this place. Of course, Bhima did not care about that. Anyway, he was jumping up the mountains, and he was roaming and ripping up trees along the way and scaring the lions and tigers who were there. And then he came to one pathway where there was a huge monkey lying there. So when Bhima was ranging in the mountains at the time of the Pandavas' exile, he met in that way Hanuman. He did not know who Hanuman was. Bhima saw a big monkey lying on the path. Its tail was blocking Bhima's path, and Bhima was charging up the mountain. So he ordered the monkey to move out of the way. And the monkey said, "I'm too old. I can't move out of the way." Bhima said, "Move out of the way immediately." And the monkey said, "I'm too old. Just move my tail." So Bhima was very proud. So he tried to pick up the tail, but he could not move it at all. Then he became even more angry, but could not move the tail. Finally, Hanuman revealed who he was as Bhima's oldest brother. And Bhima surrendered to Hanuman. And he asked Hanuman one favor. Of course, we know Bhima, that is son of Vayu, the demigod Vayu, and Hanuman is also the son of Vayu. So then, finally, that's Hanuman revealed who he was, and as Bhima's oldest brother, and Bhima surrendered to Hanuman, and he asked Hanuman one favor. "Please show me your big form when you were crossing over to Lanka." And then Hanuman began to grow bigger and bigger and bigger, and Hanuman said, I will not show you the whole form, but a part of it. Then Bhima said, all right. Bhima got 100 benediction from Hanuman. Hanuman said that he would come and sit on the chariot of Arjuna on the flag, and he would add his war cries to the cries of Bhima and terrify the opposing side. So Hanuman helped in that way. So he helped in that way. So Hanuman was in that way on the flag of Arjuna. So Arjuna, he took up his bow here and he prepared to fight his arrows. And he looked at the sons of Dhritarashtra and he began to speak to his chariot driver, who happened to be Krishna. So here, of course, here the word in the verse we read, this word Kapidvaja is used. He whose flag was marked with Hanuman. So we have Kapidvaja, a name for Arjuna because he has the famed Hanuman on his flag. So Vaja means flag. And there are two histories in this regard. Once Arjuna was strolling along the river, and there was a huge monkey bowing down to him, offering him pranams. So Arjuna asked, "Who are you?" And he said, I'm Hanuman, the servant of Sri Ram. Arjuna asked, "Are you the servant of the same Sri Ram?" And Hanuman said he was unable to build a bridge to Lanka, and then he asked the monkey soldiers to build it for him. "You are that same servant of Ram?" "If I would have been there," Arjuna said, "I would have, with my Gandiva bow, shot many arrows and built a strong bridge which the entire army of Ram crossed over to Lanka." Then Hanuman said very politely, "My dear Arjuna, it is very wonderful that you have created such a bridge, but I believe that your bridge will not be able to hold even the smallest of the monkeys in that army." Then Arjuna said, "Just then watch," and he created his bridge across the river. He said to Hanuman, "You can jump on this bridge, holding the heaviest thing you can find." So immediately Hanuman assumed a huge form, the same form that he used when he jumped to Lanka, and he jumped to the Himalayas, and he came back with all these heavy stones tied on every hair of his body to make more weight. And then he came to Arjuna's bridge, which was made from arrows, and he put one foot on it, and the whole bridge started trembling. And Arjuna's heart started trembling in fear that, oh, this bridge is going to be broken by this huge monkey. And he started to pray to his Ishtadev, Lord Krishna, "Please, the reputation of the Pandavas is at stake. Make the bridge strong." Then make the bridge very strong. Then Hanuman put both his feet on the bridge, with all of the stones and all of his weight, and somehow the bridge held him up, and Hanuman was shocked. oh, this is made just of arrows and it's holding me and all this weight. And while he was looking down, he saw that the water was coming from under the bridge. From where the bridge was, there was some blood in the river. The Hanuman thought, what is down there? He jumped off the bridge and he looked and he saw that his worshipful Lord Sri Ramachandra was holding up the bridge with his back, with all of the arrows coming into the back, into his back, creating blood. Then Hanuman said, "Oh, my worshipful Lord, you are holding the bridge." Like this, Lord Ram came out and said, "Yes, my devotee Arjun created this bridge and I'm supporting him." Actually, Arjun saw Lord Krishna and Hanuman saw Lord Ram. Of course, the Lord assumes different forms according to the meditation of the devotee. Then the Lord spoke to them and said, "You are both my dearmost servants, and I want you to become friends now. In the very near future, a battle will take place, and Hanuman will enter onto Arjun's flag, and in that way will assist in the battle." So it is because of this reason that Hanuman has taken this position on the flag of Arjun. So here Arjun is called Kapidvaj. This is one of the important omens of getting victory of the Pandava army. Also insignificant is the fact that Dhanur Ujjamya Pandava. Arjuna at this point picks up his Kandiva bow and is ready to fight. Then we will see in the next verse what happens. So these two stories of Hanuman, I heard them from a sannyasi who left us, that he was a great devotee. I don't remember his name now, but it's Purnachandra Maharaj, His Holiness Purnachandra Maharaj. He left his body about 10 years ago in Moscow for the Prabhupada disciple. And he did research and found this exciting histories. Text 21 and 22. Arjuna vacha senyor ubayor matye ratam stapaya mechuta yatetan niriksheham yodukaman avashtitam kaermaya sayodavyam asmin rana samutyame. Arjuna said, "O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms." So this is Arjuna is hereby ordering the Supreme Personality of Godhead to drive his chariot between the two armies. And what is Krishna going to do? He's going to drive the chariot as ordered by his devotee Arjuna. So there is a wonderful story mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling in South India. He went to Rangakshetra to see Lord Ranganath, a wonderful deity taken care of by the Sishya Sampradaya and their followers and the followers of the Ramanujacharya. While they went to the temple of Ranganath, he saw one poor illiterate Brahmin reading the Bhagavad Gita, but he was not really reading the Bhagavad Gita. He was trying to read. And he was pronouncing all the words improperly, but he was going to it. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu watched him doing one chapter and then the next chapter, all 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. And he was pronouncing everything wrong. And people would come who knew that he was reading every day. They would come and laugh at him and joke and saying, "You are a great scholar." They would laugh at him and tease him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw that this man was not just reading. Tears were coming from his eyes, and he was pronouncing all the words. So Mahaprabhu went to him and said, "My dear sir, it appears you cannot read, but when you are reading Bhagavad Gita, then when you are reading Bhagavad Gita, why?" This illiterate Brahmin recognized that Mahaprabhu was not trying to tease him or making fun of him. So he decided to reply very sincerely. He said, "My dear sir, I don't know how to read. I'm illiterate. Then why are you going to Bhagavad Gita?" Mahaprabhu said. And he replied, "My Guru Maharaj ordered me to read 18 chapters a day. So although I'm illiterate, I have to do it. What can I do?" Mahaprabhu replied, "But you are not just reading. Tears are coming from your eyes, and you are crying. Why?" The Brahmin explained, "Although I cannot understand the Bhagavad Gita very well, when I hear these words, I think of a picture of how Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is taken the position of his chariot driver, his devotee, of his devotee Arjuna. When I see how Krishna is Bhakta Vatsal and so dear to his devotees, and that he's serving his devotees, when I see that picture before my eyes, my heart melts, and tears are coming from my eyes." And when Mahaprabhu heard this, he immediately embraced him and said, "You really have understood Bhagavad Gita." So anyway, Arjuna said to Krishna, "O infallible, please draw my chariot between these two armies, so that I may see those present here who desire to fight, and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms." It wasn't that Arjuna was afraid, because Prabhupada mentioned that he desired to see all those who joined the army of Duryodhana, as it must have been birds of the same feather like Duryodhana. It was an open secret that Duryodhana wanted to usurp the kingdom of the Pandavas by evil plans in collaboration with his father, Dhritarashtra. Therefore, all those who joined the side of Duryodhana must have been birds of the same feather. Arjuna wanted to see them on the battlefield before the fight was begun, to learn who they were. But he had no intention to propose peace negotiations with them. He wanted to see them to make an estimate of the strength he had to face. Although he was quite confident about the victory, in the commentaries of the previous acharyas, it is said, you just will see your friends and make friends, like one falls in love with the relatives and friends. And Arjuna responds, "No, I just came to see an estimate of the power of their army and to see who is actually going to assist the evil Duryodhana, who is on the same feather as that evil person. The name Asyuta means infallible, or other than the fact that Krishna does not fall down, it means that he is infallible in his love and affection for his devotees. So this word Achyuta indicates Vatsalya Bhav. Prabhupada writes, he never fails in his affection for his devotees. That is addressed here in as infallible. So Krishna is Bhakta Vatsal. This is his most important quality. So Vatsa means chest. Vatsa means also calf. That it can be derived from Lati, which indicates rakshati or protection. To it indicates that Krishna embraces to his chest Arjuna in loving embrace and affection and to protect him. So it means he who brings his devotees near to him and gives them total protection. Therefore, Krishna is called Asyuta. This denotes the Lord's Bhakta Vatsala quality. Prabhupada comments in the last paragraph that as a pure devotee of the Lord, so we will read the last paragraph, as a pure devotee of the Lord, Arjuna had no desire to fight with his cousins and brothers, but he was forced to come onto the battlefield by the obstinacy of Duryodhana, who was never agreeable to any peaceful negotiation. Therefore, he was very anxious to see who the leading persons present on the battlefield were. Although there was no question of a peacemaking endeavor on the battlefield, he wanted to see them again and to see how much they were bent upon demanding an unwanted war. So now, the next verse. Yot shamanam avaksheham yetritra samagatam Dartarastrasya durbudir yude priya sikirshava. Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Now just see what happened. The armies are ready, the trumpets, the bugles, the drums, they have sounded that that everyone is completely excited, ready to fight. Kshatriyas, they like fighting. Yes. So Arjuna has picked up his bow. In text 20, he's picking up his bow and he's prepared to shoot his arrows, and suddenly he's saying, "Let me see." The whole battle is about to begin, and Arjuna, armed, says, "Let me see." So this is the first hint that Arjuna has some trouble. So Arjuna is still feeling quite valiant, fearless, and ready to fight. Yes. Now we are entering text, the next session, verses 24 till 36, and there we will learn more about the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna. Text 24-25. Sanjay Uvacha, Evam Uktvo Rishikeshi Kudakeshne Bharata Senior Ubayor Matye Stapayitva Ratotanam. Sanjaya said, O descendant of Bharat, having just been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties. So there are millions of people on the battlefield, and they are all ready to fight. Arjuna is on one side, and he asks Krishna to drive his chariot in the middle. And where is Krishna driving the chariot? He drove it right in front of Bhishma and Drona, was so dear to Arjuna because Krishna has a plan. Krishna is called Rishikesh in this verse, which means one who controls all the senses. But now, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that Krishna, although he controls everyone's senses, Krishna controls everyone's senses, is now controlled by one of Arjuna's senses, the sense of speech. Because Arjuna is requesting him to put his chariot in the middle of the armies. So because of love, Krishna allows himself to be controlled by Arjuna's sense of speech. Although is Rishikesh the controller of the senses of everyone, Arjuna is controlling him with his sense of speech. By making a request, Arjuna is called Kutakesh. Kudaka means the controller of sleep and ignorance also. But there is another meaning here. Guda also means gur, the sugar that you can eat, Indian sugar. So it means sweetness. And acacia, which they are names representing of Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva, the guna avatars, creation, maintenance, destruction. So it indicates that Arjuna is receiving the sweet affection of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and that they couldn't possibly counteract a person like Arjuna, who is by speech controlling the Parama Ishvara Krishna. So one who receives sweet affection from the guna avatars is called Gudakesh. It is another meaning. Prabhupada writes at the end of his commentary, thus a devotee can conquer both sleep and ignorance. That is called Krishna consciousness or samadhi. So that is how Arjuna conquered sleep and ignorance, because he was always thinking of Krishna. So we should follow in Arjuna's footsteps as Rishikesh, or the director of the senses of the living entities. Here is another interesting translation or commentation on the word of Rishikesh by Prabhupada. In his Tika, in his commentary, he writes, Rishikesh, as the director of the senses and the mind of all living beings, could understand Arjuna's purpose in placing the chariot in the midst of the armies. Thus he did so, and therefore he spoke the following words. So here Rishikesh, knowing what is going on in Arjuna's mind, which is very interesting. Now, what is he doing? You have 40 miles of soldiers lined up and equipped on the Kurukshetra battlefield. So, text 25. Bhishma Drona Pramukata Sarvasam Samaikshitam Uvacha Partapashetam Samavetam Kumiti. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the chieftains of the world, the Lord said, just behold, Part, all the Kurus assembled here. So, Krishna brings his chariot right directly in front of Bhishma and Drona. He could have brought the chariot anywhere, 40 miles of front line. But he knows that Arjuna is very attached to his grandfather. He loves him dearly. He used to sit on his lap as a child, and Bhishma would bless him with his hand. So he knows how attached he is to Bhishma and Drona, who is his guru. He brings him directly before them. He does not only love them, but he is also afraid of them, because he knows that they are the most powerful fighters of the entire battlefield. In order to incite Arjuna's confusion, which he knows is going to happen, because he can sense that it is coming now. Therefore is Rishikesh. Therefore he says, just behold, Parth, all the gurus assembled there. They are not just gurus. They are not just gurus. They are Bhishma. They are Drona. Just see them. You wanted to see them? See them. Now you see them. Pashyatan. Prabhupada mentioned the word Partha, or son of Pritha, is also significant in reference to Arjuna. He wanted to inform Arjuna because Arjuna was the son of Pritha, the sister of his own father, Vasudeva. He had agreed to be the charioteer of Arjuna. He's saying that because you are Partha, you are the son of my father's sister. I have agreed to drive your chariot, but now after seeing your kinsman, you will soon give up your desire to fight. So what is the use of your seeing the armies? And here Prabhupada says that, now what did Krishna mean? To behold the gurus? Did Arjuna want to stop the fight? Krishna never expected such a thing from the son of Pritha. Because you are the son of my brother's sister, I've done this. But now you are telling me to stop fighting? What is this? What shall I do? What is the use of my having come here all the way from Dwarka to fight for you? We are going to give up the desire to fight. So Krishna understood what was going on in the mind of Arjuna. And therefore Krishna says in the next verse, next two verses, 26 and 27, 26 first. There Arjuna could see within the midst of the armies of both parties his father, grandfather, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, and grandsons, friends, and also his fathers-in-law and well-wishers. That text 27. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. So in this verse it is said, Kipaya Paraya Visto. Kipaya means compassion. Paraya Visto. Paraya means very high compassion. And Avista means overwhelmed by great compassion. Now in Sanskrit there is another word that means compassion or mercy, and that's doya. There's a subtle difference between kripaya and doya. Doya is very general. One has compassion for everyone, and kripa is when mercy is directed specifically towards individuals. The word used here is kripaya because Arjuna is feeling compassion towards his specific relatives right in front of him. Right in front of him. Not in a general sense for all people who will have to die on the battlefield, because he is realizing is Arjuna that is realizing that he has a relationship with all of them, that he has a relation with all of them. And Krishna has driven the chariot in front of them. He sees his teacher and his beloved grandfather and so many people. His heart is trembling. So that is the introduction of the first 27 verses. And this is the first section, chapter 1, Preparation for War. And now we will begin to hear about Arjuna's dilemma and what is on his mind. Now we will go to hear from verse 28 to verse 10 of that second chapter. There will be so many reasons Arjuna gives why he does not want to fight. The Srila Prabhupada comments and gives an example for each of the categories. In his purport, on the battlefield, he could see also the armies which contained many of his friends, Prabhupada writes. Again, Krishna refers to Arjuna's Sparta. Okay, you wanted to see them, now you see them. O son of a woman, and now act like a woman, being sentimental and emotional, etc. So you have the word kripaya, Srila Prabhupada writes, compassion. Kripaya has the connotation of being merciful or compassionate to a certain set of known persons, but opposed to the word daya, which means universal compassion for all living beings. So Arjuna's compassion here is for his relatives, and is feeling overwhelmed, covered by his feeling. And paraya means intensively, very much, from a higher grade. Vishidan means that while feeling lamentation for his Sarva Bandhu, that means all his relatives, Bandhu, Mitra, and Surit, that different grades of friends, they have different meanings. Bandhu means relative. So in all these senses, again, is referred to as Kaunteya. So he is feeling compassion for his relatives in a fixed set, not a daya, or the great sadhu, who feels compassion for all living entities. Now text 28 to 30. Arjuna vacha drishtvenam svajanam Krishna yutsum samapastitam siddhanti mamagatrani mukam sa parisusyati. Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth driving up. 29. Pepatusya sarira me mohasa sajayate kandivam sansate hastat vaksheva paridayate. My whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, my bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand, my skin is burning. Nasa saksnam avastatum brahmativa samanava nimitani sapashanti viparitani keshava. I'm now unable to stand here any longer. I'm forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only cause of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Keshi demon. So there are two words here, nimittani and viparitani. Nimittani means causes and viparitani means just the opposite. So the causes that he saw in front of him, what was going to happen, was just the opposite. It was the opposite of what he wanted to happen. He saw the death of all his relatives. And when one is about to engage in an activity that's going to bring exact opposite of what one desires, is one going to feel encouraged to engage in that activity? If you know beforehand that the exact opposite of what you want is going to happen, then there is no encouragement or enthusiasm. One wants to quit. That is what's on Arjuna's mind. And Prabhupada explains in the purport, and this is very important because Arjuna is going to give many reasons why he shouldn't fight. And they are all very religious reasons. They come from the Shastra even. They are moral, they are good reasons, they are logical, and they are actually, but they are actually not religious. Because real religion is actually difficult to understand. Real religion and defining real religion is what Bhagavad Gita is about. Prabhupada explains this in the last half of the purport. Arjuna envisioned only painful reverses on the battlefield. He would not be happy even by gaining victory over the foe, over the enemy. Thus, the word nimitani viparitani are significant. When a man sees only frustrations in his expectations, Srila Prabhupada writes, he thinks, why am I here? Everyone is interested in himself and in his own welfare. No one is interested in the Supreme Self. Arjuna is showing ignorance of his real self-interest by Krishna's will, because Krishna is the one who drove him right there. One's real self-interest lies in Vishnu. The conditioned soul forgets this and therefore suffers material pains. Arjuna thought his victory in the battle would be a cause of lamentation for him. So, therefore, Arjuna was considering things only from his own point of view and not considering what Krishna wanted. And therefore, his thought, his way of thinking is the cause of illusion. Here in the purport, right over here, Srila Prabhupada sums up sums up the conditioned soul's predicament in the material world, selflessly thinking about what I want and what's good for me, how that I can accumulate things that will be mine, and no one is thinking about serving Krishna. Now Arjuna is thinking over here that I'm a Kshatriya. If I'm killed in this battlefield, what will happen to me? I will go to the sun planet. There on the sun planet I will enjoy. But I know that Krishna is driving my chariot. I know that I am armed with such powerful weapons that I am not going to be killed. So I'm not going to gain anything from this battle. And Krishna's reply is that, what do you mean you don't get anything? You get the kingdom. And Arjuna's reply is that in text 31. We will discuss that next time, 31, but we will first in more detail discuss the three last verses that we just read. So now Arjuna starts to give the reasons for not fighting the war. In text 27, it was indicated there and now spoken directly in text 28 is the first reason. And this is compassion for his relatives. We will see him giving 5 reasons. And then Krishna will systematically counter all of these reasons, one after another, in his preaching in chapter 2 and 3. And throughout the whole book, you can see directly in the next chapters. Prabhupada has commented that such symptoms in Arjuna were not due to weakness, but due to his soft-heartedness, which is a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. He's a pure devotee, So he's feeling compassion. So that's interesting. In another paragraph further on, Srila Prabhupada will say something different. We will see that. But here he says, yes, he's soft-hearted. Soft-hearted is, and that's a characteristic of a pure devotee, cannot see the suffering of others. Text 29. Now, Prabhupada comments, Arjuna's symptoms in this situation are out of material fear, namely loss of life. It seems slightly contradictory. How can we reconcile this seemingly contradiction? Are the symptoms out of material fear or out of compassion? In one commentary, Srila Prabhupada writes that it is not due to weakness but soft-heartedness that we just mentioned before. And in the next commentary, he writes that they are due to weakness out of fear. How can we reconcile these two opposing points? Deep in his heart, Arjuna is a pure devotee and feels compassion for all living entities. But now externally, he is now enveloped by Maya and is speaking in a very strange way, and is going to act in an even stranger way. So this Yoga Maya is forcing him to behave in a way that is something different. In his heart, he is soft-hearted and is a pure devotee, but his behavior is being filtered through the Yoga Maya. So actually the role he's playing is acting out of fear, but internally is a pure devotee feeling compassion. So his compassion is being filtered through the Yoga Maya screen and is coming out as material fear. But actually, it is not so. So there are two things. Now in the next verse, the second reason will be given, and that is that of enjoyment, which is perhaps just not so elevated or an appreciated reason. Still, it is one of his reasons. So Arjuna is a pure devotee, but Krishna brings all these doubts into his heart. Krishna is doing that to his Yoga Maya energy. And therefore, Arjuna is forced in his mind to consider all these things and to bring out these doubts. Because Arjuna is facilitating Krishna speaking of Bhagavad Gita, is his instrument, and Krishna uses him as his instrument. Therefore, he is bewildered by Yoga Maya, not Mahamaya, by the spiritual energy, because Krishna wants it in that way. That text 30, so in text 30, Krishna said, this is his second reason. First was compassion, and the next one is, I see only causes of misfortune, which is viparitani, means the opposite to enjoyment. Causes of misfortune. I see that in spite of winning and getting a kingdom, that will bring not any happiness, but rather will be the cause of distress. And this is the opposite of what one desires. Arjuna wants the enjoyment. The usual cause of fighting is to win victory and happiness and fame. But he says that those causes I do not see, but rather viparitani, the opposite thing. Again, Srila Prabhupada mentioned about the external features of Arjuna's behavior. Due to his impatience, Arjuna was unable to stay on the battlefield, and he was forgetting himself on account of the weakness of his mind. Excessive attachment for material things put a man in such a bewildering condition of existence. Such fearfulness and loss of mental equilibrium takes place in persons who are too affected by material conditions. Arjuna only envisioned painful reverses in the battlefield. He would not be happy even by gaining victory of the foe. The words Nimittani viparitani are significant. When a man sees only frustrations in his expectation, he thinks, why am I here? Everyone is interested in himself in this world and in his own welfare. No one is interested in the Supreme Self. Arjuna is showing ignorance of his real self-interest by Krishna's will. Krishna forces him to Yoga Maya. One's real self-interest lies in Vishnu or Krishna, and the conditioned soul forgets and therefore suffers material pains. Arjuna thought that his victory in the battle would only be a cause of lamentation for him. So instead of enjoying, he will lament. That is the first point of enjoyment. And he will continue with this reason in a few more verses. So I've seen that there was a question in the chat. I get it here on the screen. Could you kindly explain how Sita Mata, goddess of fortune, was present on the battlefield? How is she represented? That, yes, the goddess of fortune is always with Krishna. Krishna, she's goddess of fortune, Lakshmi. She wanted to enter Vrindavan, but it was not possible for her. She tried, but she could not give up her mentality as Lakshmi. Therefore, she could not. But she wanted to enter Vrindavan and always be with Krishna. Therefore, she became Shivatsa on Krishna's breast. So she is always with Krishna. So Krishna is in Vrindavan, so she's also there as Shivatsa on his chest. So wherever Krishna is a goddess of fortune. And where was Krishna? He was on the chariot of Arjuna. So therefore, Lakshmi was there, always with Krishna. Any other questions? So these reasons for not fighting are also the reasons of the conditioned soul of all of us. That sometimes we think this first chapter is not so important, but it is important. But Krishna makes Arjuna playing this role, and Arjuna is attachment and misconceptions are coming out, which are those of the conditioned souls that it's all due because we identify with the body. Arjuna gives so many reasons. Srila Prabhupada writes, they're all good reasons, but they're all wrong. Because the supreme instruction in religion is that one must please Krishna by his activities. That it's devotional service. And then one must do what Krishna wants, not what we want, not what we like, what Krishna likes. And that's surrender, that's explained in Bhagavad Gita. We have so many plans in this world, but as long as we don't give up these plans, we are not getting in Krishna's, we will not get Krishna's mercy. We will not get Krishna's spiritual protection. To go back to the spiritual world, we must give them up. course, we have a process to give them up. But that's the point. First, like a doctor points out in the beginning of the disease, and we see here the disease of attachment to this material world, attachment to very temporary situations. Bhishma Dev is his grandfather, yes. Dronacharya is his teacher, true. But they transgressed all the principles of religion just by trying to disrobe Draupadi, that Kauravas tried to kill the Pandavas in so many ways, usurp their kingdom. They are transgressors of religion in so many ways. And they deserved to be killed for that. That it was Krishna's plan to remove them all from this world. Those who act just, all these kings acting just for their own selfish enjoyment and sense gratification, instead of doing their duty and being an instrument of the Supreme Lord. And so yes, Krishna wanted a pure devotee on ruling the world. He wanted Yudhishthira Maharaj to be the emperor. Hare Krishna. Any comment? Question? Okay. Thank you very much. Then next Friday I will be traveling from Brussels to Radhadesh. So I will not be able to give a class. So then we continue with the first chapter from text 31st onward in 1 week, next week, Tuesday. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.